One of the first things that we need to do as the accounting department is to come up with what's called a business contract. A business contract is money that's sent from the Virtual Enterprise Center to your company every single month. The first part of it is based on your payroll costs. The reason the contract exists is because payroll costs are really very expensive, as you'll see when we get into this thing, and you have a lot of employees. So the first thing on Janet's website, click on where it says Sample Payroll. And if you click there, this is an Excel spreadsheet that's set up that has 37 employees. And what we're going to do is we're going to put in the names of your class members in next to their job titles into this template. The template figures out all of the taxes, the pay, and everything else. So once it's loaded, you can see here we have there's a CEO, a co-CEO, CFO, and so on. And if you scroll down, you can see all the different job titles that are there, and you can see that the names have been left blank because this is what you're going to be filling in at this point in time. So let's go ahead and put some names in. Let's click in the first name box, and I'm just going to do a few of them for you. So this is Bill, and I think I called his name Iverson. He's our CEO, and it's just a made-up kind of a name. See, he makes $90,000 a year. And then the co-CEO is Janet Coy, and she makes $90,000 a year. The CFO, his name is Ralph, and as you can see, Emerson. Now we're going to scroll down through the worksheet a little bit. And you can see all the different job titles that are there. So you fill in the students in your class, their names next to that. Now you can see that the salaries, again, as I said, are really very, very high, anywhere from $90,000 to $65,000 to $45,000. Now this is per year, and the payroll will break it down. You can see the whole payroll for the whole year is about $2 million. What we're looking for is some other numbers, and all of the numbers are calculated in the spreadsheet so that you don't have any work to do. All you simply have to do is to put in the names of your employees. That's the very first step. Now, here's the finished look of the payroll, and you can see we put a whole bunch of names in. What we want to do is we want to get rid of the blank rows. Rows are the ones that run horizontally across in the spreadsheet, and columns are the vertical ones. What we need to do is to delete the rows of the ones where there's nobody home. So, like for instance, there's the first one, the CEO one here. We're going to click there, and you can see that's. Yeah, there we go. And what we want to do is we want to delete an entire row. Now watch what happens. And then we click OK. And the row goes away. All the formulas that are in the worksheet are recalculated once this happens. So we click here. And again, we want to delete an entire row. Some of the older versions of Excel are slightly different, but the process is exactly the same. You want to delete a row from the spreadsheet. And there's another one that we're going to take out. Entire row. Okay. If you make a mistake and you want to undo it, you can go up there to the undo delete, and you'll notice it puts it back into place for you. So if you mess up as you're doing it, you can always go back up there and click on that undo button, and it will bring things back to the way you had it before. Now we've got them all. This spreadsheet here, this example, has all of them filled in at this point in time, and so we get rid of all the blanks. I just made up some names, And again, this would be from your class list as to who's in there and what their different jobs are. You can see the yearly salary. I have marital status set for single for all of them. The computer program, the spreadsheet, calculates the pay rate per, hourly pay rate, because you can see those are quite high rates, and then it multiplies it by the 160 hours that everybody works in a month. And of course, if somebody's absent that day, if you want to in the accounting department, you could delete or make some of those hours like 150 or 142 or whatever number of hours they're there to get the total net pay, or the regular pay. So as you can see, $92,000 is what the VEC, that's the amount of this contract that they're going to send you every month. So there's the total pay. We also need to record the federal income tax, FICA, and all these other deductions. They go on one of the forms that we have to mail into the virtual enterprise system. You see the net pay is $64,150, somewhat different from the $92,000. So you can see how much the deductions really are. They're quite extensive. The tables came from actual data, so they're pretty close to being the realistic numbers as to what the deductions really are for a monthly payroll. Another thing that the spreadsheet sets up, as you can see, here's the tax brackets. You heard them talk about that. The politicians talk about that in the 25% tax bracket or 33% tax bracket. You can see the higher paid ones are in a higher tax bracket. All employees are in the 9% state income tax bracket. Now, payroll taxes are listed down here below, as you can see. Medicare, FICA, those are the same as the deductions that come out of your paycheck. The employer has to match these two deductions and send them into the federal government. In addition, there's federal unemployment tax. That's FUTA, F-U-T-A, and you can see that's $743.33. And then SUTA is $3,159.17. This printout cuts off the exact total, but you can see it'll be a sizable amount of money, approximately 12%. I think it figures out to for the payroll. So a big deal having employees. Now the next part of this thing is we have to find the cost of goods sold. If you're a company that has merchandise that you resell, you will get the cost of goods sold. So from the front page under important links on Janet's site, you can click bizstats.com, or you can find it in the accounting tutorial and in chapter 3, the second half. So click here. We have an S corporation. It says there's 94 industries. So S corporations are companies that issue common stock, but they're held within the company, so it's not like it's traded on the stock exchange. So we click there. What we want to do is we want to find, you can see accommodation, food services, agriculture, mining. Most of the ones that you're going to be dealing with, I'm sorry it got cut off a little bit, will be retailing. So here's all the retailing companies or kinds of companies that you want. You can see here, we're going to go through a couple of them to see what the cost of goods sold are, because that amount of money is sent to you. Like electronics, you can see here that the cost of goods sold is 66.64%. So that everything you buy, that's what it would cost, and then you sell it for considerably more than that so that you can get your 33% profit. Clothing accessory stores, which is what I'm working on, you can see that percentage for an S corporation is 56.31%. And again, those numbers you're going to want to write down, whatever it is for your industry, so we can do the next half of the assignment by sending the form in. The next thing that we need to do is we need to fill in the VEC Business Contract Information Worksheet. You can see there at the top. And then we need to put in our company name. This piece of paper needs to be mailed into the VEC. Now, we're going to pick up this from our spreadsheet. There's the total federal income tax, total FICA, total Medicare, and then we add the two numbers together to get $22,234.16. The federal income tax, it's that's needed. And then we have California withholding at $4,974, and then SDI, which is state disability insurance, at $464.58. And then we we total those two numbers up, so we have $5,439.38. Now, to find the cost of goods sold, we're going to take the total amount, the gross pay for the month for our payroll, which is $92,916.67. Should be down where it says total gross monthly payroll, right there. And what we want to multiply that by is our cost of goods sold percentage that we found in BizStats. So in our case, it was about 56%. So if I multiply that, I'm going to come up with the cost of goods sold, $52,321. To get the total contract, we're going to add the cost of goods sold to the gross monthly payroll for the month. So in our case, you can see that's going to be $145,000. In addition to filling out the information sheet, you need to fill out the actual business contract application. Most of the information is pretty much identical to the two things. You can see there you put the name of the firm, number of employees, the description of your product or service provided to the VEC, and that's the items that you're going to sell. You see you still have the payroll costs where it says total gross payroll cost per month. They also, you copy from the other sheet the monthly employee federal withholding. You'll notice Social Security is a tax that both the employer and employee pay. It's a matching tax, as well as Medicare. So you'll be listing that same number twice. And then you total up the amount to get the total payroll taxes. You can see that's the federal. And then, of course, for the states, you have the state tax. It's withheld from everybody's paycheck, and the SDI, and those are added up. And then here, the cost of goods sold section, you can put in your cost of goods sold from the other sheet. There are a couple other questions at the bottom. Have you prepared a written contract for the VEC? And that's coming up in the next section. And did you present your contract to the business partners? And so on. The last step in completing the business contract is to make a contract for the sale of your goods. In other words, you have to come up with whatever your product line is, and you're going to sell these goods to the virtual enterprise system for the amount of your business contract. In our case, we were looking at the cost of goods sold plus the total amount of the payroll. So you can see there's the parties to the contract section. That's the virtual enterprise company and then your company. This one happens to be for Le Grande Cafe, which was a virtual enterprise business a few years ago. They'll make a list of what the agreement says, and you can see that they're going to buy or sell a couple 100 pounds of coffee maker, 200 coffee makers, pastries, and things like that. So this would be basically whatever applies to your particular company. There's the description of the goods, and you can see the quantity, how many things are you going to sell them every single month. Frequency of delivery, you can see. That would be every single month. The sales prices, taxes, shipping charge, it says what those costs are going to be. And then there's a warranty toward the end that says the seller warranties all items provided to the buyer under the terms of this contract, and so on and so forth. So this form needs to be mailed into the Virtual Enterprise Center, as well as the contract, the actual contract for your business thing. You can see it's dated. This one was back in 04, and you can see the dates here. Then there's the people of your sales and your accounting people, and this is the current director of the Virtual Enterprise System.